I had to think a long time about what title for the book. I wanted to call it The Stone of Madness, which is also a very strong title for a book, but I have a strong family past, really, and that is the main thrust, the through line of the book, is my father's reckoning with what he'd done during the war, and then my reckoning with what he'd done during the war. So really, I started out to tell my father's story, and then I was going to tell my story, and then I realised the two are inextricably woven together. And once that story produced itself, I was reading through it one time and I saw the word reckoning and I went, oh my God, that's it. So hence the title. But also to alert people to the fact that it's not a comedy memoir. I started writing the book after my father died in 2006. I started about 2007. And then I took several sort of detours and went off, was going to write a book about losing weight, which would have been interesting given that I put it all back on again. So I went off down sort of different paths, and then finally, and of course I got my day job, so I had other distractions, and then finally went, okay, you've got to piss or get off the pot, write this book. And so about 2.5 years ago, I sat down, I told my theatrical agent I wasn't going to take any major jobs. I took out a loan and I just would get up at 4:30 every morning and write. So really, this is just the culmination of years of work, of my whole life really. And then now is just the time when it was all finished. Writing Reckoning was a completely different experience from writing comedy. The only time when I thought maybe I could write seriously was when I wrote a show called Dog Woman, and there was lots of big print in that, and the script was actually, the written script was better than the show, and that got me sort of thinking, oh, maybe I could write, but this was full on. I mean, what's in the book is the tip of the iceberg compared to the research and the conversations that I had and the processing that went on in order to write this book. Because there's some fairly dark material. There's a lot of stuff that's quite light as well. But, I really, I lost sleep over this. When you're writing about other people and real people, you feel such a duty of care. So it was just a much heavier project in every way. This is like the shade to the light. Everyone's seen the light, or as I like to call it, say the comedy is like the lotus. This is the mud that the lotus comes from. I think people will learn quite a lot actually from this book that they don't know about me. There's the various interviews and things I've done over the years, but people probably mainly know me as Sharon Strzelecki, and this book is nothing like that. They'll, learn more about the complexities of things like my sexuality, the weight loss journey, but principally probably the migrant second generation experience, and how that intergenerational trauma sort of works its way through, and I believe you carry it in some way or another. So that sort of darker side of my life that people wouldn't have known, they'll find out about in this book.